to the Wednesday Night Live here on Inside Texas with Mr. Nash Talks Texas and Miss Michelle Lynn. How are my guests doing tonight? Y'all doing okay?
Doing good.
Nash,
Doing all right.
you can be honest. Nash
I'm
has
hanging in there by a thread, but we're hanging in here.
been under the weather, staying under the weather. So y'all root for Nash, man, to get back to feeling good and like himself. But yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching Inside Texas. And if you haven't done it yet, still have the $1 new member sale going up over at Inside Texas. Come check it out. Have a lot of off season to go, guys. But come spend it with us over at Inside Texas and have some fun on the message boards. All types of good content. And one of the pieces by Eric Nalin, our leader, that's what we're going to talk about here tonight. But hey, Mr. Chris Bennett checking in. Good to have you here as always. And unfortunately, Mr. Roosh, it's been a hard last few minutes. If y'all see me looking off the screen, I'm not ignoring Nash, Michelle, or any of you guys. I'm just really rooting that we can run the touchdown play at the Moody Center in the last few minutes and get back in it, because unfortunately that's kind of what we need right now. Florida has extended the lead up to 7 the last that I saw, but I am watching it on a little bit of a delay, so maybe we've hit a 3 in the meantime. Good basketball team. Florida they're salty. They've got a lot of pieces, can hit you a lot of different ways, and then overall they're really, really big. So we'll talk a little bit of hoops after we talk some football. All right, so commenters, chat, watchers, viewers, whatever you are out there, let us know how you feel about the subject tonight. We're going to talk position groups. This is from a piece that you've not read yet by Mr. Eric Nalin over on Inside Texas. Go check it out. He ranks 1 through 10 his position groups. We are down 15. Jesus Christ, that happened fast. We had wow. Florida's good. Anyways, so go check out Eric's piece if you haven't done so yet. I had a lot that I agreed with, a few that I disagreed with, but curious on your opinion, Nash, of course, Michelle, of course, and then again, you watching out there, let us know what you're thinking as well. So let's do this. We'll go with one position group and Nash might be gone for just a minute, but one position group that you trust the least, Michelle. We're going to start with you. I don't say that you don't trust. It's not that you don't trust them at all. We've got a lot of talent running around.
Okay.
But
I've got a hot take. Okay. Because the obvious answer is offensive line. But literally the group I think I trust the least is safety, because we have no depth and there's so many unknowns. So we've got Jelani McDonald. He's like locked and loaded, ready to go, going to be amazing. Another breakout year. But Derek Williams, I'm so happy we have him back, and I think he's going to be great, but we're not really sure. We haven't really seen him be super explosive since the injury. Hopefully it was just a coaching mismatch last year. But again, very unknown. We've also got Jonah Williams, very unknown. Bill Simi just had shoulder surgery. And so I'm just like, I'm not seeing the depth. I'm not seeing, who's going to start for us there. So that to me is the position I'm the most nervous about.
You know what? You took my hot take and made it your own, and I respect that. I love it. I'm similar minded. Y'all been on the show with me in the past 6 weeks. I've screamed, hey, we need one more body back there. I would like a little bit more experience. And now we're probably not going to go hit the home run that we did in picking up an Andrew Makuba from Clemson. Shout out to Austin's finest, Austin native there. But I just need a little more experience. You just brought up Xavier Filsaime coming off an injury. Again, a guy that probably could have used better tutelage last season, obviously last off season. He's an incredible athlete who will probably figure things out. But how fast does he figure things out? Texas doesn't, you have Ohio State week 2. You have a really good and fun Texas State offense in week 1. That should be a nice little preparation, but they're still going to make you sweat a little bit as far as mentally and the things that they do. And so curious to see how he reacts early in the season. I think as time gets, middle of the season, the last third quarter of the season, I think we see some really good things from Filsaime. But how fast does that happen? What happens with Jonah Williams? Can Jonah stay healthy? That's my answer as well. Nash, the question is a position group that you trust the least amount going into 2026. Michelle and I 2 for 2 on safety.
So is it only one side of the football?
It can be wherever. It can be offense for sure.
Offensive line, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
offensive line. That's where I'm going. And specifically the interior. I love having Connor Robertson back, but as far as the guards go, the level of trust that I had. One, we don't even know if all the guys are going to be eligible to start.
Right. We don't even. He's not even on campus
at
either.
that point. I don't know what we can trust in the offensive guards, given that we don't even know who the stars are going to be.
And you can't argue that answer either. You know what I mean? Michelle, both and I, we felt our take was a hot take. And again, this, going back to that, Chris, this is a good point. Blake Gideon, I think that he's a guy that players are going to want to play for a little bit more than Dwayne Aquina. I don't think that's any secret at this point, how things kind of were inside the secondary room last year. But yeah, again, I agree with you. And it really has to be Jelani's time. It needs to be Jelani's room. He needs to be the guy that takes the biggest of steps, because you've seen some really, really damn good things out of him. There's no reason he can't be one of the top 3 to 5 safeties in the entire country and have his name called very, very early on draft day when that time does come. But making Nash's point, yeah, and it's always good to see Jonah on the baseball field, which is another worry of mine when it comes to Jonah Williams and safety on the football field, is how much does Jonah like playing baseball? And again, we could talk about that for hours on here, I think, because there's a lot of different opinions. But on Nash's point, the offensive line, you can't argue that whatsoever, because obviously that was a big Achilles heel for the Texas offense last year. But for myself personally, I feel really, really good about, obviously, Gooseby out there left tackle. But when you add Melvin Siani, I think that is a very underrated piece that Texas added there. I think he's going to be really, really solid. And I'm a big fan of the growth of Brandon Baker. Now, I think just by default of what that offense has around them, or that offensive line has around them, between Arch Manning, Raleek Brown, Hollywood Smothers, obviously Cam Coleman, Ryan Wingo, etc., that they might look a little bit better than they are just off of that. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be really, really hard to defend that offense. The safety position is something that I think, again, like an offensive line can be exposed on a, regular basis. That I don't know. I thought I was coming up with a hot take, because I thought y'all both immediately be like, offensive line, that's where it's at. It's the O-line. But again, I am concerned that would be my top 2. It would be O-line and safety. You can't fault either one of you for having the answer that you did there. You guys in the comments, what about you? The one that you trust the least? Hot take: Texas LSU have the best offense in the SEC this coming year. I don't even know if that.
I think that's what people expect. I mean, I expect it. We spent a lot of money on investing in our offense, and so did LSU. So
I expect Texas to have the best offense in the conference next year, because I trust Arch Manning more as a passer than I do a Gunnar Stockton. I think Georgia will be really good on offense as well. LSU and Lane Kiffin, he is instant and easy offense, and so they'll be good. But how quickly does that gel? They don't have a ton of depth amongst their offensive line. How does that look? And again, I can't say I disagree with you. I take it all. Welcome back, Kodak. Oh, wrong comment, but hey. That's how I kind of feel, man, too. The only thing about that game I really don't like it is it's so late in the year that LSU is going to have 9 games under their belt to kind of get together. An ideal work for me, as a Texas guy, they're 6-3 going into that matchup, where it's already basically like, hey, we're probably not getting into the college football playoffs. Hope that they lose to Ole Miss when they go there and they have to spend a ton of energy doing it. That schedule for LSU is not super, super easy. I can't decide if I think LSU is going 11-1 or if they're going 8-4 next year. And I go back and forth all the time, but there he is. Welcome back, Kodak. There's my man. Yeah, that's the thing. It's still the offensive line. And we've seen what teams that have elite skill position talent, pretty good quarterback plays. That's the thing. A lot of the opinions about LSU, I feel like, are dependent upon what you feel like Sam Leavitt and his ceiling is. I think there's still major question marks there. I think when you're running around with a Cam Scatabo in the backfield and teams are having a lineup to defend him, and then they're tired of chasing that man and tackling that man after a half and 3 quarters of football. And that's kind of what you saw in the Texas game. Sam Leavitt wasn't really an issue with all the backyard football stuff and scrambling away from. And now you got to give him credit as well, though, because he's part of wearing down defenses, because he is always moving around with his legs. And, so, hey, not trying to fully discredit the guy, but I think Scatabo is a big part of his success. And then I think he came back down to earth a little bit last year. But again, he's competing against Big 12 competition. But at the same time, he's going to have better guys to throw to than he's ever had. He's probably going to have I don't know if I want to say better backs in the backfield, but you got pretty damn elite backs. It's just a different style than what Cam Scatterbo is. Again, I'm all on that train, man. That dude was a handful. So yeah, what does Sam Levitt look like? So
man, I think there's a reason that Lane Kiffin was trying to get the Washington quarterback. Sam Levitt wasn't even his first choice. So I think he has his limitations. He'll still be good because Kiffin can scheme things up for any quarterback, it seems like. But I mean, I've never been a big believer in Sam Levitt. So maybe he'll prove me wrong, though. Who knows?
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't.
I know. Hopefully not. But
well, I hope they light A&M up, to be honest. So I hope he finds it that game, and then come early November, he just disappears for a night.
Yeah.
I like the LSU brand. I don't love Lane Kiffin the way that I used to love Lane Kiffin, and so I'm indifferent. I don't really care how their season goes, but I do think that they're going to be really, really talented, and I think Blake Baker and what's returning on that defense, they'll be pretty competent as well. But all right, let's get back to Texas football, guys. We talked about the position group that we trusted the least. Okay, it's not saying we don't trust them a little bit, but the least. Who do you trust the most? What position group is that? Ash, why don't you start us off this time, brother?
I just got to go with quarterback, Arch Manning. Just what we saw towards the end of the year. He's like the definition of trust. I mean, everything kind of the offensive line, even though we started to get a better offensive line group after the Vanderbilt game, I mean, the amount of times that you saw Arch Manning overcome just some really, really bad plays that probably earlier in the year he would have succumbed to. He really just instilled a lot of trust in me, or in himself from me. But I would have to say Arch Manning in the quarterback room, just because also if we do lose him, we also got some really talented dudes right up behind him.
I agree. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I agree. And I think something that Nash pointed out a few weeks ago when we were on was how he was really forged by fire this season, or the 2025 season. So this year, even if the offensive line isn't, gold star, it's probably going to be like, wow, this is easy mode compared to what I was experiencing last year. So I think all of those trials and things he had to work through this year are just really going to pay off next season. So that's why I have a lot of trust in him. It can't get worse than it was last year. So I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, y'all said everything there was to say about it. Really, forged by the fire. He was thrown into that damn fire, and it was a lot of fun to watch because you could kind of see it. A lot of us saw it in the Florida game. Some didn't see it until much, much later, and they deserve. They don't. I was trying to be nice here. I'm just going to leave it alone. But it took others a little longer to come around and be like, wow, this guy's actually playing pretty dang good football for Texas. It's some of the components around him that are really kind of dragging down that unit's success on the football field. But yeah, it's definitely, in my opinion, Arch Manning and the quarterback group as well. I'm very high on KJ Lacey, Saraland, Alabama's finest. Got to watch that guy in high school one time, and been a big fan ever since. He's got the right mindset for this. He's been sitting and waiting patiently, but working hard. And again, a guy that just really kind of fits what Sarkisian's trying to do on offense currently. But again, want to see Arch Manning stay healthy, stay upright, obviously. Feel really, really good about his, took a beating in the Florida game, took a beating in a couple of other games. So the guy can take a hit. You feel good about his toughness. He can be physical himself. Sometimes he lays the hits. And so, yeah, you feel good about, obviously, he's the best passing quarterback that Texas has ever had. Just overall, I mean, his growth, I think, going into this season and having a big offseason, it would help to have a healthy offensive line. Need that to happen sooner rather than later, have all these guys working together. But, yeah, you just think the play of Arch Manning, he had to play superhero too many times last year. Everything around him was better. I think that can definitely be agreed upon by all of us. And so, at the end of the day, I mean, it can't be worse than it was in 2025. And so, long way of saying y'all nailed it. It's only
if it can be worse, I don't want to see
it. Very true.
No. Yeah. And no, you said that well. I don't know if my heart could handle it, to be honest with you. It would be miserable.
So, I just start watching Texas baseball reruns at that point.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of fun things to watch with them right now. Hopefully that continues on into the springtime. But guys, we'll hear from our first sponsor of the night, Luxe Kitchen and Bath, and we'll be right back.
Are you ready to love your kitchen and bathroom again? Luxe Kitchen and Bath will bring that to life. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring your dream vision to life. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team also provides full home remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today, or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get your free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE, or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Contact info is in the description.
All right, guys, let's keep going with it. All right. I don't want to say like the position group you trust is second least, but is there another position group out there? You know, and we did kind of cover 2 basically between the offensive line and safety. So anything outside of those 2 units that, you know, really kind of, you know, maybe don't scratch your head at, but, you know, you lay down and you got your Longhorn Warrior hat on at night before you go to bed. And, you know, you're kind of like, man, I hope that we're a little better there than I think we may be.
Probably for me, it would be linebacker. Just based off of, like we've already talked about before, multiple weeks. Anthony Smith is going to have to be playing out of position a little bit, and to me, it's one of those depth positions where if we start to lose bodies, and that is a very physical position to be playing. If we start to lose bodies, that's where I'm going to start to, you know, maybe my mind keeps me up a little bit at night, some nights.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of agree. I'm more on the tight end grouping just because I don't know that much about the guy we acquired from the transfer portal. I do know that Ian and Connor really like him, so that's obviously a plus. I'm not very certain about that group. It's hard though. I feel like all of our position groups are actually really strong. There's very few that that are really keeping me up at night.
I feel really good about, I mean, almost everywhere. You know, depth is kind of like my biggest concern with a couple of them. I'll go with you. Nash linebackers would probably be the next group that kind of gives me the most worry. Kodak, appreciate the super chat, my man. Thank you very much. Inside Texas, and we all appreciate that. But yeah, does it all work? Because we don't really have a true Mike. You know, do they go out and find one in the spring? You have you added Cryer out of Florida State, really good experience for the room. You have a super freshman coming in, and Tyler Atkinson, that's going to be a big weapon. But it's still going to be a little bit limited as far as a freshman and what exactly he can do on the field. It's not going to have the full bag yet. But you saw, you know, Texas use a guy like Anthony Hill really, really well, especially early, you know, in his time at Texas, his freshman year. You know, second game he played in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and he was in there making very, very big plays, especially in that second half against that Alabama offense. And so, and then again, you added Rasheem Biles, who is a tackling merchant. You know, you have Anthony Smith and his speed, Rasheem Biles' speed as well. So, you know, maybe do you need another thumper in there? Do you need to be a little bit just safe from a depth perspective? Because that's the issue for me is, you know, can these guys stay healthy through an SEC schedule that has you playing 8 straight games to end your season, you know, with now only having one bye. And so, and that was really cool to see Ant Hill mention Anthony Smith, you know, and again, from the moment he flipped from A&M, I'm an East Texas guy. So guys coming out of Jasper, I was always paying a little extra attention to. So I love to see Anthony living up to the hype. Again, he hasn't played his best football. He's going to be an issue to deal with, man, in this next season. And I think that Will Muschamp getting, you know, kind of his paws on Anthony and being a hand in his game is going to be really, really big for the guy. So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you there. And again, with you, Michelle, it's not that we don't think they're going to be good. Like, they could still easily be a top 12, 15 linebacking unit at minimum in college football. But to stay healthy, that's my big worry for that position group. Just stay healthy. All right, let's talk about another one outside of quarterbacks. Who do you trust the most after the quarterback position group? Whoever wants to take that first, feel free.
I trust the wide receiver room. I mean, like, Oh my gosh. I know that Arch obviously hasn't played with Cam Coleman yet, but I mean, you got Cam, you got Wingo, Kalik started to come on, Emmett Mosley, two freshmen that are going to hopefully find their way on the field in some capacity is Jermaine Bishop. And then I believe his first name is Cohen Brown. I've heard, he's like been more than what they thought they were going to be getting. I know I'm missing another receiver, Dalen McCutcheon. Like, I just feel like the wide receiver room is the one room that I'm not worried about the depth. It seems like we have a lot of depth there, and I'm really excited to see what Sark has cooked up, because I think we're kind of getting back to his roots of bringing in the speed and just having a much more dynamic grouping there. So I'm so excited for that room.
Nash, wide receiver for you as well. What do you think?
For me, while I agree with a lot of that, I would probably say running back is probably my second most trusted. Just from the depth that we have acquired there, but also I think the running backs are built the right way to, if we're going to have some question about the interior of the offensive line, you want some fast running backs that are going to be able to hit the edge real quickly. And I think that we got those two dudes. So, and also, I mean, you got Hollywood Smothers he may not have the, body mass index that suggests that he's going to be a thumper, but he can get some yards after contact and get some real tough yards. They're both extremely, in their times at their respective schools, Arizona State and NC State, they're both really high level outlet guys for the quarterback. So, I mean, these are two dudes that if Arch Manning runs into some trouble behind the offensive line, he's got to dump the ball off, and for some reason the wide receivers aren't open, I mean, these are going to be some excellent options to toss the ball to.
I agree with you, man. I made the comment earlier that the players around that offensive line could make that offensive line look better. Maybe they're a great unit, but maybe they're a great unit that they made to look elite because of the running backs around them and the talent at wide receiver, and then obviously the quarterback and Arch Manning. I agree with you, Nash. There was times last year where our interior of the offensive line against Ohio State, against Florida, against Oklahoma, they did open up a few holes on the interior of that offensive line, which, again, more times than not, that was not the case. But when they did, you didn't have the back that had the juice to get through that hole. And even if he did, there wasn't yards after contact. There wasn't getting to the second level and then making big plays, making guys miss, and then getting to the next level. And so, no, I don't hate that answer at all. I still think I'm going with the wide receiver group, but I like that one. I really didn't think that either of you would go with running backs there, but I like that a lot, Nash. I will say that, Kodak, you're all over it, man. It's just, to me, iron sharpens iron. And then from the top to bottom, that is a group and unit that should absolutely push one another, because you have guys like Jermaine Bishop. You have guys like Kalik Lockett and obviously Dede McCutcheon, guys that their practice time is probably going to be like, they're going to demand that they get on the field by what they're doing in practice and the way that they're playing. And we've heard all types of arguments and cries about Sark and the fact that, he never really had a really deep wide receiver rotation. But hey, like, if I'm an Emmett Mosley, like, I know I got to go ball, because you got guys behind you that are ready. And you got Jermaine Bishop, and his skill set is a guy that, well, you got to get him involved from day one. And then you obviously haven't mentioned Ryan Wingo or Cam Coleman. So ultimately, that's a group that I really think from week 1 through hopefully week 1 billion, Texas plays forever into the college football season. I'm really hoping that's a unit from, again, top to bottom that does really, really big things. I think everybody will get to eat at certain parts of the year. You know what I mean? And I think it'll be important for Sark to get Jermaine Bishop involved. I think he does have that juice to be ready at this level already and do things against good defenses, and gives Texas a type of player that really haven't had in the past under Steve Sarkisian. So I'm excited about that. What do y'all want next? What position group do y'all want next, guys? Who I see? Okay, we got an edge comment here from Coach Snark. And again, that's not a bad answer for second most at all, because those dudes are going to be tough. You've got Lance, you got Colin, and then you've got guys behind them who are ready, and you've got youth that is performing well and practicing well. Here we go, Chris. This does need to be brought up. Any comments on the blank check story? Because it was reported that an SEC coach said that they had a blank check offered to Cam Coleman, and that essentially Cam Coleman didn't come to Texas for cheap, yada, yada, which to me, part of that is pretty obvious. Like, obviously, Cam Coleman wasn't going anywhere for cheap. Like,
right.
2026 college football in the NIL era. And we're talking about, well, they paid a lot of money for him, I bet. Well, yeah, well, no shit. Michelle, any comments?
Yeah, it was just funny to me how this GM is arguing we had a blank check for him, but he just had to get paid so much money at Texas, sort of insinuating he went to Texas for the bag. When it's like, well, if you had a blank check, then you would have just been able to match or top, whatever it was we were offering. Money was a factor in his decision, but there were other factors as well that, is why he chose Texas, Arch Manning being probably one of the leading ones. And I don't know, I just hate those clickbait things. And I loved it because Quandre Diggs called him out on that exact thing. He's like, hey man, if you had a blank check, then why didn't he pick your school? And so the whole argument didn't make sense. And it just is trying to paint Texas a certain way. And, I'm just tired of it. All these schools, we're all paying players. And I think it is always like a national scandal or headline when it's Texas. But the reality is everybody doing it. Of course, Cam Coleman got paid a lot of money. He would have gotten paid a lot of money no matter where he went. So I was glad that Diggs was standing up for our school. And yeah, I let him have it. I was like, I am not taking it from this anonymous GM.
Well, I think like what you said and what Quandre said is perfect. Like, if you have a blank check, and from what I understand, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room, very rarely is that the case, but from my understanding, a blank check is an unlimited amount that basically whatever he wants or whatever his camp wants, you write it down on this damn piece of paper and it is yours. And so making the comment, not all blank checks are the same. Well, obviously you didn't have a blank check out for the guy. And so, yeah, it was really, really funny. And I will say this is not directly inside Texas reporting that. This is my personal, I hate to use the word connections, but folks that I know out there in SEC land and for some other programs, that Texas was not one of the top two offers that Cam Coleman had. Maybe I am incorrect. Maybe those guys are just pulling my chain. But from what I know, that wasn't the case. And so, again, I feel like these GMs get a little petty, take things a little personally sometimes, and it's fun to see when they get those Twitter fingers going, and they're popping off a little bit, and they're like, they're throwing the one or two liners out there, and it's always got to do with like culture, like people don't come here for money, you know what I'm talking about. It's always fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest. That argument sounded very one schoolish, very a little bit east Texas. I don't know. Sound a lot like an argument that they'd be trying to make.
The best part is you could have just, hypothetically speaking, it is, said school. You could have just beat your rival on the football field and, I don't know, got in the end zone in the first college football playoff game.
Maybe had a quarterback that would entice the star wide receiver to come. Maybe. Again,
that's neither here nor there, though.
And so, I have no connections. I mean, but I'm just gonna go out and say it. My best guess would be the two schools that had the best offers are the ones that sandwiched the school that landed him. So I mean, I'm just gonna say there's East Texas and West Texas, and a lot of oil money out here.
A lot of money. A lot of schools that would love to get a one up on Texas, because you got to think of the type of shift that has for all schools involved. And it's not like a deal. It's like, oh, darn it, Cam Coleman went to Texas. It's like, oh, shoot, we got to play that guy. And we don't have him out here as our number one cat. And so I get it again. GMs, take things a little personally. It's not just that anonymous GM, whoever he may be. It happens all over the place. And so it's fun to speculate. It's fun to talk about it all. Again, Texas, like you said, Michelle, is not the only one that's out here paying players. It's the NIL era. And I'm not going to sit here and feel bad if Texas wants to sit there and pay up for certain players. I've always wanted that to be the case. I wanted us to pay under the table.
Me too. I was like, why aren't we cheating?
Megan,
what are we doing?
Please, they got McDonald's bags. They're meeting in parking lots. They're meeting in Dollar General and handing guys and like the brown liquor bottle bags. Like here's 50,000. Don't go visit Alabama. Well, I wanted to be all in that. You know what I mean? So no, I'm not going to sit here and feel bad or let people make me feel bad because Texas is they're doing what they should be doing, and that's competing to win. I think everybody in here would be like, well, yeah, that's what we want out of Texas. Real quick, have y'all heard anything about freshman Coleman Brown? I believe that's Waxahachie, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. DKW, appreciate you being here as always, my man. Yeah, and that's another thing. It's a big body. A big fan of Coleman Brown and his skill. I didn't ever get to see him live, but I like the makeup of him and what he can add to this offense. He's not. I'm not comparing him to like a Cam Coleman, but it's another guy that should be able to help us in the red zone. I'm not saying he'll sit there and do it his freshman year, but I do expect Texas to lay it on Texas State and UTSA and get some. You didn't see that last year against San Jose State and UTEP. You didn't see Texas really get into their third and fourth string in some spots. Sometimes there's a close competition between first, second, sometimes between first, second, and third string. So you saw some of the, you saw that at times from guys. But, you didn't get to see some of the freshmen that you really wanted to see out there who, you sit there and heard all the recruiting jazz about and whatnot. But, yeah, no, I'm excited to see. But, yeah, have y'all heard anything on Cohen Brown?
Yeah, I think I remember when he signed, because I believe he was one of the later signees in the class. I could be misremembering, but I know I saw something on Inside Texas from Justin, kind of did a write-up, and it sort of caught my eye. So he was one of the few who I actually bothered to even watch their huddle. Normally, I just don't get that invested in recruiting, and I thought he looked like a stud, sort of under the radar. Nobody's really talking about him, which is kind of nice because all of the spotlight is not on him. There's really no expectations or pressure. But I feel like, all of the things that I've heard from, people who live in Austin who, have some connections with people in the program are saying that like he's been kind of a pleasant surprise. So, there could be a role for him maybe on special teams or something like that. But he's just, working hard, chipping away. And I think something that's important sort of in this new recruiting era is, you can't, as we learned from last year, you can't have all 5 stars on the bench. You got to have some 3 stars, some hidden gems, guys that are going to stay and want to get developed. And it seems like maybe he kind of fits that mold where maybe this year he doesn't necessarily, hit the starting lineup or anything, but just kind of learns from Cam Coleman, Ryan Wingo, and everybody who's in that room. And then maybe next year or 2028 is when it's, it's his time to shine in the lineup. So I'm excited. I've heard nothing but great things about him. So,
I mean, you're going to have a lot of talent to replace because you're going to lose a Cam Coleman. You're going to lose a Ryan Wingo. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, DKW, again, I'm from that area over here, Waxahachie, so I've always paid attention to those guys, the Ennis guys in that neighborhood. He was a guy when he first got in the class, honestly, I wasn't super thrilled about, to be honest with you. And then I saw this where you're running a 10.6 as a junior. He had a little bit more burst, a little more athleticism than I was giving him credit for when he originally committed. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that. And then you made another point up here, DKW, I want to bring up, Nash, the size of a Jermaine Bishop, do you think that coming in and talk about the player that he'd be probably playing a lot of slot, being a little bit of a gadget guy between getting the ball through the air and on the ground, I mean, do you think 5'11", 160, you can come in, you can make an impact against some quality teams and defenses?
Yeah. I mean, you've seen Steve Sarkisian do it multiple times with some really small bodies, like a Xavier Worthy, Alabama, really talented wide receiver. He's had a few of them that were kind of maybe that you.
How much did Devontae Smith weigh? I mean, I know he's a little taller than 5'11", but
paperweight.
Yeah, Devontae wasn't a big guy.
He was really, really thin, and I mean, it's one of these deals where I also think that him being a freshman, just the most likely usage that we're probably going to see from him, and this just come from me. Probably get better analysis from Connor or Ian. But it just does feel like, he's going to be that guy that we toss him the ball a couple times, every other game. But he's just going to be so dangerous that the times that he does touch the football, that he's going to do some real damage. So I'm not really too worried about him, getting banged up or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think we're going to be using him that much to be where he's going to be banged up. But I mean, we got some real dogs in this wide receiver room.
And that's exactly what Connor and Ian did a show today. It's like an hour-long show just about the wide receiver room. And that was something that they brought up, was that it'll be so hard for any of these freshmen to crack the starting lineup because they'd have to beat out either Wingo or Mosley. It's probably not going to happen. But he did talk about how Jermaine Bishop, I think it was Connor who was saying this, having those select packages, things like that, to get these guys on the field. And then also, hopefully, this season, we're able to get leads. We've kind of talked about this in this episode today. We get some leads so that these guys can see playing time in the third and fourth quarter for a couple of our easier non-conference games, things like that. So, I think hopefully he will be the type of player that demands playing time, but it's hard to envision him being, a starter just because of how stacked that position group is.
Yeah, I mean, I think, everybody expects and believes the starters are pretty firmly locked in, and, between Cam Coleman, obviously Ryan Wingo, and then if you're an 11 personnel, Emmett Mosley. But, to me, you'll see a lot of, like Khalil Clockett, Dayton McCutcheon, maybe some Jermaine, or a decent amount of Jermaine Bishop early on, maybe not Ohio State. But like Nash said, I think that when you do see Jermaine with the football, that he will do things that you don't see from every other Texas wide receiver or any other Texas running back that, hey, maybe it's like, hey, we have to have a package for this guy. I would love to see him in the backfield, coming out of the backfield as a passing threat, but then also a guy that you can run your sweeps or your handoffs, your outside or your wide zone to. But again, it's a guy that you can't sit there and just line up in the backfield and give it to him probably even 5, 6, 7 times at 160. You're not going to do anything like that. So on Sark to be creative in how he decides to use him and when he's ready to be out there. But man, everything seems, and from what you hear, he's going to be going to live up to the hype. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to see him out on the field. I think we'll hopefully see him early. But like you said, Michelle, like the guy said today, you got some pretty damn elite talent at the top of this wide receiver room. So it's going to be hard to get out there. Emmett Mosley's got to show he can stay healthy. I think that's a big thing for him. And of course, we're all rooting for that because he was a big part of that offense after he came back in the Florida game, and it feels like he could have had 300 yards in that Florida game, but we couldn't protect Arch. Arch didn't have time to take some of the deep shots and hit them. But man, it felt like Mosley just was running scot-free against that secondary all day long. Gonna take a real quick break for our second sponsor ad of the night. We're gonna go to David McClellan, and we'll be right back, guys.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right, guys. Chris weighing in with a weigh-in for Devontae Smith, 166 at the combine. It's just the game's just, it's different. And these smaller, twitchy wide receivers, they create so much space. And, you talk about them taking hits and things like that, but they're a lot of them are really, really savvy on getting their bodies to the ground. And then another thing is that they're really damn fast and quick. And so you don't always get a really clean shot on some of these guys like an Xavier Worthy, and a guy that he was a lot more physical than I ever thought he would be when he was coming in, because again, he's paperweight. X wasn't afraid of contact. You know what I mean? There was times
ran into it a lot.
Yeah. And so mad respect for that guy. But yeah, and then, says Devontae and X are comparable body type. I don't know. I would like to see Bishop, we'll really know once he gets out there in the open field against an Ohio State, maybe, or, a Michigan in 2 years, or against one of these SEC defenses that have guys that can really, really run on that back end. Man, he ran away from everybody in high school. It's fun to watch that tape. Again, I'd love to see him as part of this offense. Overall, though, I think quarterbacks, wide receivers, edge, Tight ends are going to be up there. I think there was you earlier, Kodak, that we were talking tight ends. Here's my thing with the tight ends. If they take a big jump, then this offense is going to be able to do basically whatever it wants, because you're going to be able to line up in your 12 personnel. You're going to be able to pound the ball. You're going to be able to run up the middle. You're going to want to be able to run to the outsides. Because when you're in 12 personnel, and maybe you're not perfect or great even on the interior of your offensive line, but if you're pretty damn good on the outsides and you've got so much speed on the outside, you still have wide receivers that you really can't cover one-on-one. Good luck if you do. That it just makes it really, really hard to defend, and it'll become easier for Texas to run the ball up the middle, just because you got to concede something to honor where they can really hurt you at. And so then obviously you have 11 personnel that Texas can still try it out. But any takes on the tight ends, do you expect it to be like a big jump? Because last year in the beginning of the year, Texas was throwing its head into the wall. We've said that a billion times, continuing to trot 2 tight ends out on the field that just weren't ready to hold up in the run blocking department. And, obviously once Texas had kind of forced his hand in the Mississippi State game, had to go spread. And after that, you saw a lot more 11 personnel. But, yeah, any thoughts or takes on the tight end room? Because I think I do trust them, but, you got to be right here, because it makes a big difference in this offense and what they can do.
I would say for Nick Townsend, I think the blocking is going to go up. Just because, we've seen that dude. He's an absolute psychopath when he's going out there to block. He'll run full speed into a wall without any care in the world. But it's not necessarily that I don't trust the tight ends, but I don't trust Arch Manning's ability to throw to the tight ends. And what I mean by ability, I'm not doubting his ability. I just don't think that when his mind is going off, and he's got options of wide receivers, running backs, and taking off with his legs, I think tight end is buried behind all those 3, thrown to the tight end. So I think that's a big reason why we didn't see Jack Hendry used as much as we thought he was. Me and Corder were hammering the table about this. Jack Hendry's dude is a dude. Yeah. I still believe Jack Hendry's is that level of a tight end. Legit NFL tight end that's going to go out there and make some waves year one.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, Quinn Ewers just like to throw the tight ends a lot more than Arch Manning does. And I think you're going to still see that be an issue in year 2. So, the times that Nick Townsend does get the football, it's going to be more or less by design. But I really like, I think Michael Masunis is a really high level, just as the running backs were. I think that's a high level dump off option for Arch Manning to use. So, I have a lot of trust in the tight ends. I just don't have a lot of trust in Arch Manning to get the ball to tight ends.
I think that's a really good way to put it. And I agree with you about the blocking improving. There was a little note tucked away at the end of the tight end section in Eric's article, and where he just says, "I'm happy this group is now lifting more frequently and heavier." And I just thought that was a little nugget he hit in there, because I know how important, the training staff and everything has been. I feel like Inside Texas is probably the one that reports on, what's going on behind the scenes in that regard the most. So I think that'll be great to see from them. I'm excited that, those changes seem to be taking place amongst all the position groups, but I think specifically for the tight end room, that will be huge, because if we could have had some better blocking even from them last year, maybe it all wouldn't have been so hard. There were so many small things that could have been a little bit better last year that would have just made the overall product on the field better, especially in those first 6 games. So, it's great just to see the attention to detail this offseason.
I agree with y'all. And I think DKW is over here making some really good points as well. On Nick Townsend, and I'm not going to say that he was overweight, but it definitely looks like, he does need to work on the body a little bit. Now it needs to be redefined some. And to make y'all's points that you made, a little bit better at blocking at tight end, it wasn't. And another good point, he is very aggressive. Spencer Shannon was aggressive. Everybody lined up at tight end for Texas was aggressive. It's just being aggressive doesn't make you a good blocker. It doesn't make you a good blocker in the SEC. It doesn't mean that you can handle Ohio State's edges. You can be willing to block all you want, but you've got to have some strength. You've got to be able to move guys hold the edge out there, set the edge, because so many times if you're going to run wide zone, you want to run that. You want to run any outside concept, like you've got to be able to hold the edge out there. Defense is trying to not allow you to hold the edge, and you're trying to hold it. So like that's such a big part of it. And again, we really struggled in the running game in the first half of the season. A lot of times out there where the guys are giving effort, man, they're fighting. It's not that they're soft or that they're not putting forth the effort. Just got to get faster. Got to get stronger. Got to get a little bigger. And so the weight room stuff, the different approach to that and conditioning, that's probably been my favorite thing that I've heard of any of the off-season content or news out of Inside Texas so far. And so again, like you said, Michelle, they continue to kill it in that regard. They're all on top of all of that. They've got the right sources to really kind of know what's going on and have a pulse of the program during the off-season, which is not always easy to do. I feel good. I mean, like you said, it's happening in every position group. There's obviously a lot of growth going on, but it was a season that we necessarily maybe thought was possible, but obviously hoped it wouldn't happen, or maybe didn't even expect to happen. So I feel like, man, we're just like, my stomach's going to turn until we see it on the field. You know what I mean? I like what's going on. I like some of these changes. I know that they'll be developed. I know there will be growth, like the transfers. But until we see it on the field, just have this weird feeling in the pit of my stomach that, I don't know. I guess that's just sports. That's what it does to us. But all right, real quick, basketball team did not have a great second half. We were outscored by Florida by 16 points, gave up 48 in the second half. Florida had an 18-3 run at one point that definitely kind of iced that ball game. Man, we bring up basketball, and Nash is like, I'm out.
Can't deal with it.
It's like we talk hardball, I'll tap back in.
Talk baseball, come back in. The wrong B-ball. No,
but just real quick, I'll be brief. As far as what that does for Texas tournament chances, I'm not concerned whatsoever. Texas still has some very winnable games in this last, I believe, we got a 4-game stretch. Texas probably just needs 2 wins. I think a win, any of these last 4, or 2 of these last 4, obviously, and then you go and play a bad team in the SEC tournament. You find a win there, that's going to be enough to get you in. You can't go out there and lose these last 4 games and be on like a 5-game losing streak and then go get one in the SEC tournament. I think that puts you in a little bit too much trouble. 2 more wins is a lot. That two more and they're in. Again, a team that I'm massively high on Sean Miller. I've always loved the guy from all the work that he's ever done. Again, everybody cheats in college basketball, so I don't give a damn about an FBI wiretap. I'm just going to be honest with you. What happened at Arizona happened at Arizona, and if he was at Duke or Kansas or North Carolina, he never would have got busted. I promise. Just happened to be his school. But anyways, so they're playing well, in my opinion, and them playing as hanging with Florida the way they did for most of that game tonight, I thought was really impressive. And then Florida kind of, the shooting picked up tonight. So in that second half, they sped us up a little bit too much of an open game and got away from them. Again, Florida's good. Texas is in a good spot. Nash, I know you're not going to make any comments. Michelle, any Texas hoop comments? Do you get to watch much?
So I actually have been keeping up for the past couple weeks, but I feel like last time I praised them, then they both lost, both the men's and women. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I don't want to jinx anything. And I really want us to make the tournament. I feel like just making the tournament this season would be such a cherry on top, because all I wanted to see this year was that Sean Miller was the guy, and feel pretty confident that he's the guy. So, everything else is just a bonus. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, I like offensive basketball. Again, his teams have never really been defensive minded teams, but at a school like Texas, which is not a basketball blue blood by any means, I think you got to do something kind of fun and cool to kind of stand out a little bit. And just having an offensive coach is not really what we ever saw out of, like, Rick Barnes. His units could play offense if they had a really elite point guard, but if you didn't have a really elite point guard, the entire offense broke down. Sean Miller does not have a true point guard, and it's one of the best offenses Texas basketball statistically has ever had. So again,
if you had an AJ Abrams, oh my God,
DJ Augustine would have been fun. TJ Ford would have been pretty, because Sean Miller would have taken 3-point shooters and put them around TJ Ford, because that was always a big issue. We never really had enough shooting with that team from the perimeter. We had a Royal Abbey who was okay by the time he graduated. We had Brian Boddicker who would come in, I believe it was I think he started at times also would come in as our sixth man. He could knock down some shots. Man, I love that team, dude. I was like 15 years old, and they were my life. The Final Four team. Cried forever after they lost that one, dude. That hurt because Carmelo lit us up. Jerry McNamara lit us up. Man, they were tough. But yeah, CB, man. That Ivy was a great defender. James Thomas was undersized at center, like 6'8", but he was a great defender. You had Sid Mill-Harris, who was our best 3-point shooter, but he really couldn't do a lot else. I don't know if you remember Sid Mill. Probably do, CB. You remember all hoops. But I went to Texas's basketball camp the summer after they lost in the Final Four. And we're watching a highlight tape as they're like introducing us to the camp and stuff. That was like before the coaches came out and talked. They played like the run to the Final Four or something, like highlights from the season. And I'm sitting there talking, and I was just like, man, if we had more shooters, if we had more Sid Mills, if we had more guys that could shoot, like nobody was going to beat us. I say that we scored 82 points in the Final Four game that we lost. Like scoring wasn't the issue. But the whole time I was sitting next to Sid Mill-Harris, and I didn't know it. And he was like, yeah, bro, like you should come coach us, man. Like come, so it was cool to meet Sid Mill in that regard. But women's got they're not going to win the SEC, and that's okay. South Carolina have a lock on that. Don't care about that. We want to cut down nets in April.
Rather win the NCAA tournament than anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, again, we know what it is. Even if you win the SEC, you still got to go through a South Carolina, UConn. The big dogs. They're all out there. So time will tell. Nash, give us your early impressions from the perfect baseball start. The arms look good. The bats look good. Avon Robbins might be Superman. I had pretty insane start to the year.
Yeah, no, this Texas baseball team is looking really, really good. We thought going into the season that this was going to be the top pitching staff in the nation, and so far, all they've done is prove us right. We have, I was going to say we have four starters under 2 ERA, but the entire staff, the entire staff's under 2.45 ERA. The one guy that has a 2.45 ERA is Thomas Burns, who through 3.2 innings pitched has struck out 9 guys. So only 2 outs haven't come from strikeout from him. He's just a legit flamethrower to have in the closer role. We're spoiled, rotten, lucky to have that. But we only have one pitcher above 2.45, which is just insane. And to have a staff ERA of 1.36, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out here, but it's really good stuff. I mean, this is a top 10 across the board ERA pitching staff through multiple different statistical categories. And then on top of that, if we do let some contact happen, we got a top 30 defense. This team they're playing really good. And then that's not even mentioning, Aiden Robbins, who just hit for the cycle the other day.
That was so cool.
First time since 2015. Glad that the Texas stat keeping, the books, the official scorekeeper decided to, reverse that after the game, which he did it during the game so that we could have given Aiden Robbins some love.
It's the home guy. You got to, right?
Yeah. Hey, look, it's our own home stadium. We got to get. Maybe it wasn't there. Maybe it wasn't. Got to give us a little bit of a leeway there. But then you got Carson Tenney, who's hitting bombs over the new center field batter's eye. I mean, this is a really fun squad to watch, and there's depth in all the right places. I'm really having a fun time watching this team and writing about them. So I mean, this is a good time to be a baseball fan.
They're good, man. For me, I hate to say it, but like my biggest concern is like just please stay healthy and then peak at the right time. You know what I mean? Because they're going to compete with anybody. They're going to compete to be a top 2, top 3 SEC team at worst. And again, DKW's comment about Anthony Pack, you gotta just love what you're seeing as far as the way that they're hitting the baseball, man. Because there was times that David Pierce and under his regime, dude, we looked horrible at the plate, man. Like just terrible. And it seemed like we were really, really dependent upon extra base hits and the long ball. But again, I mean, just everything seemed to change the moment that Schlossnagle came into town. Just like the mindset around the program, the way they treated every single at bat. and you really start to see it pay some dividends in year 2. Obviously there's loads of talent. They did a good job in the transfer portal, and you have guys like Robbins who come in and it's like, man, I really hope he's worth the hype. I've seen some tape. Now Seton Hall and who they're playing is a little bit different story, but velo's still velo, right? A hard fastball still a hard fastball. So it can translate. And dude, man, again, you'll see better pitching in the SEC, but my Lord, dude, the guy's off to a very good start.
I mean, something that should have really given a lot of Texas fans faith that he was going to be able to translate was when he goes and plays in the Cape Cod League. That's top pitchers in the ACC. That's top pitchers in the SEC. Like that's top pitching that you're going up against.
Right.
And all he does is goes out there and wins the hitting title.
That's a good point.
Wow.
So I mean, this is a dude that I think that has legit Golden Spikes potential. I mean, in my honest opinion, I think we have 5 guys that have the ability, maybe more, to go out there and win the Golden Spikes this year, which is insane. It's to talk about like Anthony Pack. I mean, Anthony Pack and Sam Cozart are probably going to be front runners for freshman of the year in the SEC. I mean, these are really, really fun times. Like, I mean, Jonah Williams he's going to get himself on the baseball field, but now you're in a position where you're not taking Aiden Robbins off, not taking Anthony Pack off the field.
Well, if you're 9 hitters,
Ashton Larson's playing some pretty good baseball. I mean, I believe he's above a 300 hitter right now. I mean, this is a team that it's just that there's a lot of really good depth out there, but man, they're really talented. They're really fun to watch, and it's just all the right things are happening. And I know this is for the fact we're the only SEC team to not have given up a home run yet. Knock on wood on that one.
Oh my God.
We might be the only college baseball team to not have given up a home run. So I mean, this is a really, really good staff.
Well, when your 9-hole's hitting 450, he's not a 9-hole anymore. He's another leadoff, and a really damn good one at that. Texas has table setters. They have guys that can get out on the base pass and steal base and use their legs. Like a lot of guys that can go from first to home on this lineup. You have guys that can go opposite field. When you really look at it, more than just a box score. It's like, oh, well, Texas scoring a lot of runs. They're getting a lot of base hits. Well, people are like, well, yeah, it's early in the season. Sure, they're playing. Look who you're playing. I think A&M's going out and they scored 20 runs.
They took 2 of 3 versus Louisville.
So there you go.
So I mean, this is it. While the talent's not the SEC level talent that we're going to be playing against, these aren't some just random scrubs that we've been lined up against. I mean, UC Davis, they really impressed me. That's a former Texas Longhorn who was coaching that squad. Been on some national championship teams. Like one of the better players that Augie Gritos had in his early years there at Texas. And man, those dudes, they showed up ready to play some ready to play some baseball. They were bunting the ball around. I mean, they were playing some clean, scrappy little team there. But
I got respect for the California teams, all of them. You know what I mean? Same as Texas. You know what I mean? Those teams can sneak up and get you a game or two in a little 3-game set.
Absolutely.
For sure. Michelle, you a big baseball gal, or are you
so
focused on softball?
I like baseball. I love softball. It is hard for me. There's just so many games. It's hard for me to get to actually watch it live, but I try to consume, the game recaps and things like that. I think something that I'm just nervous to get too excited about this baseball team, because I just remember last year we ran out of gas, and I guess some of it could have been health related. I know we had a lot of injuries last year. So like I am close to jumping on the hype train. I'm just trying to relax, but I know there's been a lot of upsets this baseball season already. So like,
that's college baseball.
I mean, I would say that,
you can't take it for granted. So I'm thrilled, but I'm not ready to go full. This is a, natty or bust,
I would say that the pitching staff last year, when we lost Jared Spencer, that made us put Ruger Riojas into the starting role. And then Ruger Riojas himself started to have the flu and bronchitis. He lost around 20 pounds. I mean, we're in a position where the freshmen that we have had come to roster. I mean, you got Michael Winter, you got Sam Cozart, you got Brett Crossland, you got Brody Walls. I mean, Jaden. I mean, there's some there's some really, really good pitchers, and it's a situation where if we lose a pitcher, knock on wood, I mean, this is a staff that is built to handle it. This is the type of staff that Texas could go lose a game in the regional or lose a game in the College World Series early, and they can fight out of a loser's bracket. I mean, usually that's usually the death sentence for a team is when they lose one of those games early on in those tournament formats, double elimination.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have
normally it's just the starting pitching that starts to get to you, because now you start to run out of arms.
Yep.
This staff is the depth that Max Weiner and Nolan Kane have recruited and built here at Texas. It's to an insane level. I would just say if their concern is depth and injuries, I really don't have any. I wouldn't have any sort of concern for this Texas team moving forward, because I mean this is a staff that is meant to handle, and in the outfield, I mean we got you got some freshman players that are playing some really, really, really good baseball. I mean, you got Preston Corville, who's going to be the third catcher on the team this year, who I think is a really, really good defensive catcher. But he's also, every time he's gotten in the batter's box, he's gone out there and hit.
Yeah.
You got a lot of really good young studs on this team that are going to be waiting to, itching to scratching. But really fun times. Yep. Yeah. I mean, Ethan Mendoza at second base. You got Adrian Rodriguez, who I didn't even mention. He might be one of the best players in college baseball right now. You got Temo Becerra, who I was banging on the drum all off season long. That and I think he is one of the dark horse underrated additions that we've gotten. He's not a sexy name. Like he's what he's going to do is he's going to hit 300. He's going to consistently get these clutch hits. He's going to make some really good defensive plays. He's not going to hit the ball out a ton. If he does, it's going to be pretty rare. But, I mean, he's just going to be one of these consistent names. And, I mean, it's one of these – this Texas team, outside of the, big, names that are going to – like Carson Tenney and Aiden Robbins, Ethan Mendoza, and Adrian Rodriguez, they're really just going to be pains in the side for opposing teams. I mean, this is I have no plan on canceling my Omaha reservations.
I don't know if Kodak is still in the chat, but you are like, I know he has eaten up everything you're saying. He's a huge baseball fan, and so he's always messaging us, talking about the team. I'm like, okay, I've heard these names from Kodak this year. Like, okay, I'm a little more bought in now.
And that's the thing. There's our guy Kodak. But he heard baseball talk, and he's like, I'm hopping back on. It's a team that has so many pieces, and they're a lot deeper than they've probably been in a very long time. And so, like you said, Nash, I don't want to say like that I don't care, because that's definitely not it. I love watching these guys, but to me, as long as they're healthy, I'll reassess when the regular season ends. But it is national championship or bust. Like I like find an excuse for me anywhere as to why I shouldn't be. A, it's Texas baseball. B, it's Jim Schlossnagle, who, he's been close. He's really, really dang good at getting there, and then you have as talented a group, especially when it comes to the arms department, as anybody else in college baseball. And so, again, we'll reassess this at the end of the year. There's plenty of times, like last year, going into college football season, where I'm like, Texas is 100% a playoff team. And then you see the line against San Jose State and UTEP, and you're like, you know what? Oh, well, Arch Manning too. You know what? Hopefully we can make a bowl. Right. So, again, I was a little more optimistic than that. But y'all know how it goes. I mean, Texas is going to be good. They're going to be a team that, you want to be hosting a regional, obviously, and top it in the 8 national seed. You're hosting a super. Just get in the dance. Get to Omaha, Nebraska, because I think you got as good a shot to win it as anybody else once you get there. I honestly think we were saying the same thing about Texas football at the end of the year. Like, hey, if they can get in with the Arch's growth, they've gotten a little bit better on the offensive line, a little bit healthier, hey, there's a shot. I don't know if that ended up being true at the end of the day, because I think Indiana and probably Miami might have had a field day with our O-line, to be honest. That kind of was scary to think about. But
Arch would have been dead. I mean, even Mendoza was bleeding. Arch would have been slaughtered. It would have been bad.
Them tough, but always fun to play what if. But hey, guys, thanks for doing this tonight. I'm going to let y'all get out of here. Big thanks, Michelle. Big thanks, Nash, Kodak, Chris, everybody in the comments. It was a big part of it. Appreciate y'all for making it fun. DKW, as always. Kodak, thank you for the super chats, my man. But yeah, y'all come spend some time on Inside Texas. Come check out the fine articles from Mr. Nash. One day I'm going to write an article, Nash. I don't know what it's going to be about, but I'm going to get an article on Inside Texas one day. I got to pick a topic. It'll be about Texas golf, and nobody will read it, but that'll be okay because I care. Okay.
And I was going to say, get y'all's butts in the Moody Center tomorrow. Vic Schaefer's donating $10,000 to the Neighborhood Longhorn program if we get 10,000 fans in the seats. And I think as of 2 days ago, we were just under 600 seats away. So let's get the Moody Center field and watch the ladies in their last game at home, and then watch them go off and hopefully win a national championship.
Rory Harmon's
last basketball program with the best chance.
Yep.
Yeah, Rory Harmon's last game at the Moody Center. Build
the statue.
I was gonna say last game in white, but Texas will be the home game for the first few tournament games there. But all right, yeah, then I'll get to the Moody Center. Go support Vic Schaefer, always doing the 10K challenge there. You can tell he really loves filling that place up and is willing to do it for these ladies, and they deserve it. So if you got nothing going on, weather's going to be great, get out to the Moody Center, enjoy some Texas basketball. But again, thanks for being a part of the show, everybody. We'll catch y'all next time here on Inside Texas.